Welcome back to the Sexton Wolfpack. We are so excited to have you here. Before we begin, I just want to announce that we are now on Patreon. It is such an awesome experience over there. We do pretty much weekly Q&As where we answer things like what's our favorite position, how to have better sex, how to feel more confident. We really go into depth in these little mini episodes for you. We also host a monthly 2-on-1 session giveaway, which is you have the opportunity every month that you're subscribed to our community to win a session with Camille and me, where we have an hour with you to discuss whatever it is that you want to discuss. So along with that, you get early entry, early access to any of our future events, to our retreats, anything that we put on in the future. And we also put up a lot of really fun content from when we were young, and you get to feel closer to us and to just be more interactive there. So check out patreon.com/thesexden and join us for as much as 2 coffees a month. 11/11, baby.
That's right. We'll see you there. Welcome back to the Sexton podcast. It is episode number 33.
Whoa!
I know. Isn't that exciting?
That is exciting.
And personally, this has been my favorite season yet.
Oh, yeah.
Lauren?
It's our third season, episode 33. Today is 333.
333. How exciting. And today we are talking about... I forgot what we were talking about. Hang on. I'm going to say that again.
Just do that. We're talking about, and then I'll say seasons in life and processing our emotion through masturbation.
Whoa.
I know.
I cannot wait for that. I always, when I'm listening back to our episodes, this is just a random little situation, I will have like one phrase that I stick to through the episode.
Okay.
Whether it's like, whoa, or hey, hey, or
yes. Hey, hey.
hey, hey. I always have one little phrase I carry through, so we'll see what it is this time.
Okay.
If you all catch it, DM it to me or put it on our Patreon. We'll share it with the crowd.
I was cracking up because I feel like you disclose some like sometimes personal information. Like on our last episode, you said, before it would have been a red flag for me potentially if somebody had already been divorced. And now I'm going to be on the dating market and I'm getting divorced. And I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
Say things to you that are just, it's like, it sounds so, that word, it's not nonchalant, it's like with like a lack of empathy. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah, you do that. Whoa.
Whoa. It's just like, why I could just remain silent, but hey,
I love whoa.
well, hopefully our sound is okay today. We had a very confusing day because now Camille and I are apart, which will be part of our weekly update. Might as well just do that now, sis.
Yeah, we're in separate cities now. So I moved up the coast of Mexico a little bit, and I am exploring a new city for a couple weeks. So I feel actually really good in this city. Tulum is a vortex of swirling energy that is sometimes you don't realize how intense it is until you're gone.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, okay. Other places you don't feel that energetically shaken. So I'm in another place. I'm also right by the water, which is really exciting. I have been sleeping harder than I have for the whole month of October.
Oh.
I said on our last episode that I was exhausted from all the company and I would probably be sleeping the whole month. And that's already what it feels like. Rudy and I are kicking it. We are in a cute little studio. And unfortunately, yesterday was kind of my first full day here, and it was pouring. We're sort of in the middle of like a tropical cyclone.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So I couldn't explore, but I'm going to go explore a little bit after this episode today. So love it. Love this new city. And My second update for this week is that my business is doing really well, and I'm really proud of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You deserve it,
I
Camille.
I am just so honored to be coaching the clients that I have right now. I feel like I'm calling in these soul clients that I'm just having a beautiful connection with. Our container is sacred and special. And I feel really excited. And as a couple are coming to a close, I'm opening up one more spot for this month for a sacred 8 week container with me. So if you're interested, healwithcamille.com/offerings. You can apply for my coaching. We'll have a little discovery call and see if we're the perfect fit for each other so I can keep this going.
Whoa. I just did
Yes.
it. Um, that is so exciting.
Whoa. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you too,
Oh.
Camille. It's been such an honor and so exciting for me to watch you go from quitting engineering. Weren't even thinking about being a coach. You were going to do real estate investing, had your
Boo.
experience with Bufo, went into a full healing experience, are now going through a D. And holy shit, your life is so different now than a year ago.
My life is so different and life is really fun.
It's really fun.
I love life.
Me too. It's so exciting. And we're actually talking about that today when we talk about the seasons in life and how it's important, even when we're going through a shitbox season, which is my new favorite word for everything, just a
Shit
shitbox.
box.
When we're going through a shitbox season, it's so important to remember that we're just in a season. It's not going to stay like that forever. We can't take it so damn seriously. So, anyway.
I love that. Well, give us your weekly update and then we'll get into that.
Well, I don't know, Camille. What has my week been? I don't know. My week has been really great. It feels like a lot of relaxing. I was coming off of that super social weekend or the most social month of my life, I think.
Yeah.
And I posted a video or just a photo on my story of Shane took a picture of me when I was asleep. My legs are up on the wall, Molly's next to me, and my story views, like over 4,000 people saw that photo, and just I don't know what it was, but it was really weird. So I'm like, okay, cool, people are interested in me being exhausted. Like it's just so weird with the but if you saw that photo, if you were one of those people, then you could see that I have been also just really relaxing. We talked about it on last episode too, on the last episode, which was on our last episode. We talked about just how when there's so much happening around me socially, I am not good at maintaining my practices, my work, like everything just completely falls by the wayside and I'm just in life. And so it feels really good to have some element of like routine back.
Okay, so let's get into our first topic. We are talking about the seasons of life.
You know what? I need to address something. There's an elephant in the room, and the elephant is my eardrum.
Is this piece of hair?
Yes, but it's also my eardrum.
Oh, tell us about it, Lauren.
Well, I actually have 2-week updates that I did not tell the fans. I did not tell our wolf pack.
What?
The first is that I had an ear injury when we were freediving with my dad. There were a lot of different theories about what it could have been. When you go freediving, you can have an eardrum problem, you can get an ear infection, you can do some pain, right? Well, I had an experience where I did not have that. I was just going down, I couldn't clear, and it just felt like my ear hit a wall. After that, it was like a huge, I could pop my ears still, but it felt like a big giant problem. Basically, what I received when I was freediving was something called you guessed it, a hood squeeze. I was wearing a hood when I was freediving in my super sexy, cool suit, and air got stuck between my suit and my eardrum, which when I went down and the pressure squeezed the air, it pulled my eardrum out a little bit. I know. Isn't that gross? And so it didn't get punctured because it doesn't hurt, but my eardrum suffered some serious damage and I cannot hear really out of my left ear. I can't really hear myself. I can't really hear others. It's so weird. And it's been this way now for almost 2 weeks.
I have two things. Number one, I'm so sorry about your ear pain because if anybody's listened to this before, I have ear problems.
Yes. Camille has people
for
everywhere.
my life.
Yes.
Number two, how does it feel to be an extreme athlete who gets an injury? Who receives an injury not from the water but their own sport and their own depth?
Yes.
What does that feel like?
I suffered my first freediving injury.
Yeah.
And I have to say that it feels good to be on this side of it. I'm happy to say that I've done. So
you have now experienced an injury. So I feel like that makes you just that much more of a diver. You know, people are like, oh, I love the sport. And you're like, me too, except this one time
I was injured.
I was injured by a hood squeeze.
The shark bite. If you imagine a surfer who's been bitten by a shark.
Yeah.
They just have street cred, you know? Like I am now a free diver who has experienced a hood squeeze. And there, you know, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but but
it's something.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard to carry.
That is just so funny.
Yeah. So hood squeeze. The second thing is I was sitting at lunch with our aunt who was visiting Tulum. And I was attacked by 3 rogue devil flies again.
Tamarindos.
Tabanos. I was bit by 3 more tabanos almost at exactly the same time. I didn't even see them bite me. 2 on the foot, 1 on, yes, the weenus.
You guessed it.
On the other side of my weenus. So my arm blew up like a blimp for the past 4 days. My foot was so swollen. It looked like just only in my foot, I gained 100 pounds. And I'm recovering from that as well. So it's been a week with my body.
Dude, you have just received injury after injury.
Jungle wants me to leave, but I'm being resilient.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of myself. So,
oh my God, I'm so proud of you too.
So anyway, that's my actual week update. Thank you very much.
My God.
We can go into the seasons of life. What do you think?
Now we return to the first topic of the day.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing with us your injuries.
You're welcome.
The seasons of life, man.
Son de vida.
I wrote a blog about this quite a while ago. It was almost a year ago, I think, that I wrote about the phases of our life and an analogy between that and the phases of the sun and the moon. I will link it. Mine was more in reference to just observing your life as if it's the phases of the sun and the moon. Like we expect the change. We expect the change in the sun's direction and in the phases of the moon. We're never expecting more from the sun or the moon. And yet when we start going through change in our life, it becomes this like experience of extreme discomfort and fighting our way out of the change instead of relaxing into the new phase.
Wow, I really like that.
Thank you.
I want to sit with it for a second, and I think our audience should too. That was really special.
Thank you.
Yeah, we expect change from the moon. We don't ever look at it and say, why are you full today, but you won't be full tomorrow? You know, it's like so weird.
Yeah. Or during the winter, we're never like, you know, well, fuck. It's the stupid sun is less time in the sky today. You know, it's just like, yeah, winter.
You know what? I feel like particularly with winter, people do expect a lot from winter. They do. People do not like it when it's dark for the whole entire time. They will fight it. They'll find a reason to be miserable. We even have clinical seasonal affective disorder where people don't have enough sunshine.
Yeah, that's actually true. So I take it away with the sun, but the moon remains the same.
Right? People complain a shitload about the sun, but they don't complain that much about the moon.
No, they don't.
We're like, with the sun, we expect a lot from it. It's like, oh, it's too hot. It's too cold. Where's the sun? It's like kind of mean.
Why isn't it a longer day today?
Yeah. Why is it so dark? Oh,
So I guess the sun would be more in reference to the body.
the masculine, the
Yeah,
doer.
the doer. Yeah, yeah. So talk about why you wanted to talk about this subject today, Ceci.
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about this because, first of all, probably for most of our listeners are in the US, and it's now fall time. And so they are experiencing maybe some leaf changes, pumpkins are out, cider is brewing, people are feeling good and cozy and ready to do it for the winter.
Yeah.
And
Wait, does that happen in of course it happens in other parts of the country, but I mean, I wonder if the obsession with like changing into the fall and winter is the same in other parts of the country or the world.
I don't know. I just know that if the US has a chance to commercialize it, it will. And so it's probably more extreme there than anywhere else.
That's true. That's true.
Even decorating for Christmas, having the most chic designs, blah, blah, blah. I mean,
yes.
I feel like nobody does it like the US.
No one does it. Like capitalist US.
No, I don't see that happening. But
No.
I do think it's special in other places. Geez, I mean, Jesus Cristo was only born once around the whole world.
It's his birthday.
It's his birthday.
Feliz cumpleaños.
Yeah, feliz cumpleaños, Jesus. I mean, holy shit. Okay, so yes, I'm sure it's exciting, but I don't think anybody does it quite like the US. As far as, making
like getting rowdy for fall.
Yes, totally. Spooky season and I've never seen something like it before.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is we're going into that time, and I always love fall as an opportunity to learn lessons from nature. And it feels like I just hear this not only from other people, but from myself, from my clients a lot, where it's like, oh, well, I used to feel like this and now I'm going through this, or this was happening and I just want to get back to that, or I'm doing this, instead of allowing ourselves to evolve and allowing times to just be hard. Sometimes when they're hard, we try to get out of them as fast as we can. And so I wanted to talk about allowing life and even days and even moments to be in seasons. A breakup or a heartbreak is a season of your life, or it's a chapter of your life, or it's a scene in a movie. You catch my drift? Like, we can think about this in different analogies so that our life doesn't become so fucking serious. When we think that things are supposed to stay the same, or we want them to change so badly while they're currently happening, we are taking ourselves and life way too seriously.
Yeah. And we're just creating suffering for ourselves.
Yes. So we always come back to this point because it's really the only point that matters. And that is when we don't allow things to naturally occur, when we don't allow life to have an element of surrender and ease, even through the difficult parts, we are resisting the present moment. And I'm not suggesting, my mind always goes to like, well, what if somebody's in an abusive relationship, or what if somebody's been harmed, or what if, whatever. I'm not saying that when you're being, Shane says this, he's like, when we talk about presence and being with the moment, we still are animals. If somebody's punching you in the face, you don't sit there and say, okay, this is great. This is the moment being punched.
My moment.
Yeah. This is my moment. And like Lauren and Camille said, to just be with it and accept it and see that it's perfect. No, react in a way that you need to react, run, scream, whatever it is, fawn or faint, or I don't know what it's going to be for you, but you can still react to stimulus that is too much.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that when given the chance to come back into presence, when given the chance to focus on the internal experience and that versus what's happening externally around you, that's the return home, is coming back into center and being with the processing of that. And so by no means am I saying stay where you are and just experience this phenomena. I'm saying, can you be with the evolution of life and allow yourself to not take it so seriously?
Yeah, that's really good. I wish I had a notepad because I was like, as you were talking, thinking of these things I wanted to say. So I know two of them that
Okay,
I
go
wanted to say.
elaborate on this.
Number one, with what you were just saying, is there is a difference. There, our core self, like our nature, is being courageous, making change, being confident. That there being present doesn't mean you're just null and void to the experience that you're having. It means that you notice so deeply when you are present that when something is disrupting that, you are able to make a change and make it fast. You don't have to sit with pain. You don't have to sit with someone disrespecting you. You don't sit in an abusive relationship or one that isn't serving you. You recognize that those experiences are pulling you out of that presence within your body and in your mind. So, how can you adjust? Becoming present almost allows you to make changes in life and accept the seasons more easily. That's exactly what it means. Another thing I wanted to say is that this experience of ebbing and flowing through change was really hard for me because I was really saddened by getting old. My whole life, it felt like I wanted to reject that. Not my whole, it's not like I was on a daily, like, oh, I'm rejecting feeling old. But when I thought about getting older and changing, it made me sad. Something that's really helped me in that realm is really honoring the person that I was in all those phases of my life and noticing that that person is still inside of me. It might not be how I'm acting now, how I'm going about life, how I present myself, but that part of you is still inside of you. She's just older now and she's just growing into a new place. So I take a lot of time doing that. And I also help my clients do that, is honoring what you once were so that you can be present in who you are today. Journaling about it, thinking about past memories. Being present doesn't mean you're not allowed to remember who you once were or the experiences you had. It's thinking about those places of darkness or sadness or extreme joy and laughing and memories and being present with those memories. Like that's what it's felt like to me. So I had this massive change in my life over the last year where I thought that I would never be that like fun, lively, energetic Camille again. And I felt like I was really identified with that sort of party self. And over the last sort of year and a half, I transitioned into being like really loving my alone time, not liking to go out and drink. And at first I was like, oh no, when am I going to be that person again? That's so sad. And then now that I've arrived in this new person, it's like, this isn't sad at all. I'm still enjoying life so much, if not more. And I honor the person that was that party self, the crazy staying up, dancing till 4 a.m. Like she had so much fun. She had so much fun. I love her. And now I can be this. Now I can be who I am in this moment and still be really happy.
That's really nice. Yeah, that is really nice. I'm just thinking about if I've honored my younger selves enough,
Mm,
like, because I think about them. And in a similar way that you talked about last episode, we were talking about heartbreak and how it's like okay to both feel sad and then also relieved and
mm-hmm.
all of these things. It's like when I look back at myself, and I think a lot of people do this when you're going through a healing journey, is that you can see things in a really negative light. Like,
Yes.
see a lot of the ways, like even for you, the party phase, you could be like, okay, whoa, like I was binge drinking and like that was a lot. And I had pain that I didn't know was there, kind of, like you could see it from that perspective. And that's okay to mourn that as well, and to celebrate and have compassion for and forgive her for what she did to her body, and to really like relish in the youth of that. And
Yeah.
I think about that for me, mainly more sexually, is that I was so promiscuous during a particular time, or I don't know if it was considered promiscuous. I don't know a good word. I was just really exploring. And
Yeah.
when I came into my relationship with Shane, I was like, oh my God, I'm wanting to be monogamous. And what does that mean for me? Like, I was so wild, and like really
Yeah.
enjoying myself and trying these different things. So I went through that mourning phase where I was kind of like, whoa, is that even what I wanted? Was I kind of exploiting my body? Was I choosing people that didn't serve me and letting them like be in my sacred space? I kind of did that. But I'm wondering, I kind of want to do some work with what you just said around celebrating her too, because she was also having a really good time.
Yeah. I really encourage that. And for all the listeners too, like a part of my coaching and a part of like my experience through my own healing journey is that sometimes it actually makes me mad how people can turn every single thing in their life into like this lesson that they have to heal from.
Right.
And I understand the relevance in like picking out things that, okay, yeah, that wasn't feeling really good. Now I have the language and verbiage for that. But it's not like when I was in college partying, going crazy, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm really binge drinking a lot. This isn't energetically serving my body. No, I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, party, like, woohoo, have so much fun. Like, she was
Yeah.
just wild and crazy. Like, was she a little bit more reckless? Yeah. Was she like, not understanding the implications that drinking like that has on the body? Of course. But I was also having a freaking blast. And
Yeah.
this, I'm not talking about experiences that are actually traumatic. But what I'm saying is, we don't have to think of every experience as trauma. Like sometimes that's just exactly what you were doing in the moment. Like you weren't this person experiencing that. If I was experiencing those things now, I'd be like, holy crap, I'm
Right.
drinking a shitload. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't feeling really good. Or like, I'm going after guys that really aren't liking me. But in that moment, I didn't. I didn't understand it from this perspective. And it's not like she was like suffering like crazy.
Right.
She was just being,
Yeah.
she was just being in that moment.
And she was young. Like that's, I wanted
Yeah.
to touch on that today, is like, we have to give ourselves the permission of youth. Like we have to give ourselves the permission to have lived in a young body. And
Yes.
when that comes to like our inner children and our teenagers and all of those times, I feel like we hold so much serious energy toward that when we go on this healing journey, and I do quote air quotations
Yes.
because there is a part of it where it's like, is it really a healing journey, or were you just young and you have to just like see that that was you in youth. And of course,
Yes.
honor her, love her, tell her that you're sorry if you neglected her or if you harmed her, of course, so that you can heal that relationship within yourself. And also, can you find air and lightness and exuberance about you didn't know any better at that time? Especially if you
Yes.
didn't have like a ton of guidance, or your friends were all doing it, or for all the reasons you were a depressed teenager and you needed to shoot up. I don't know. Can you forgive yourself?
Yes. It having compassion for that younger self. I love that. Like really honoring youth without having to think that like everything you were doing was because of a shadow.
Right.
It's like, no, I just was drinking because that was the norm and I was having fun in college, like
Yeah.
free for the first time. I mean, every single thing does not have to be part of your healing,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. I feel like we can just come back to understanding like a healing, what a healing journey can be is healing from the things that are actually having an impact on you,
Mm.
honoring anything that comes up in your body, honoring the darkness and the light and those experiences. And also, the whole point is coming into presence today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't have to keep picking at little, oh, maybe that was some shadow work that needs to be
Right.
done. It's like, okay, but when do you get to come into presence? Like, when do you get to start just enjoying the moment for what it is and just thinking of certain things as memories?
Yes.
Yeah.
So once again, we show up to here and now.
Y- yes.
And that is when we're saying not to take everything so seriously. I do watch people, and this is not a judgment. I'm sure that I did it at some point too, but you start to kind of uncover these things and then you want to prescribe everybody else in your life. You want to tell other people what you see in them. I've done this like not that long ago, right? Like I confronted someone and was like, this is what I see. And because I've done this work, I can see it in you in these certain ways. And it can be too serious. It's too serious. You're pretending like you're too important. And so taking a
Yes.
step back and just being like, oh, okay, this doesn't have to be that serious. Healing can be fun. I can see those patterns that were in me when I was young, but I don't have to get stuck in the language of I act this way because of that. I do this because of that. I hold on here because of that. I have anxious attachment because of this. I have this because of this. I have this because of this. And instead, just what about how you are today?
Yeah. Like, how are you doing aside from all the, you know, those textbook things of you have anxiety so you're this. It's like, well, are you having anxiety every day, or
Right.
were you in a phase of having a lot of anxiety because of your situation and now you're feeling okay? Like, this is all coming back to honoring those seasons. Like, we can talk about changes now, but also honoring that those past experiences were also just seasons in your life.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a season. Um, I I do want to touch on one more thing for seasons, just because this is something that I recently talked to a friend about. We are really used, we were talking about in a healing journey, calling out all the bad stuff. But in like societal standard, I think we're more used to people saying like you need to be happy all the time. Like that's what we want, is just to feel super happy. The faster we can recognize that happiness is not what you are, happiness is something happening to you.
Mm.
The faster we can recognize that sadness is also something that's happening to you.
Mm.
You're not born with any of those. You don't even know what that means to
Right.
be sad or happy. Things are just happening in your body. So, just like happiness sometimes feels really exciting and then fades away, the same thing is going to happen with the sadness.
Mm.
But the more we push it away, the more it comes stronger. And it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to keep knocking you down. So, the changes of life and these phases is also just honoring where you are in this moment and recognizing that emotion is temporary.
Mm.
Emotion is temporary. um, thoughts are what perpetrates those things. It can happen in conjunction. So if we're like, I'm so sad, I'm never not going to be sad again. I feel like I'm just a really sad person. And well, when you're happy, you're not thinking, I'm just such a happy person. When is this going to be gone? And will I ever be this happy again? You're just like, woohoo, I'm just feeling happy. So just feel sad and let it flow through you, knowing that you're going to come back to an equilibrium. You're not going to just be that forever.
Mm-hmm. Will you elaborate more on that happiness and sadness are not you, they're happening to you? Can you give like an example of that?
Yes, I can. Our core essence, I'm trying to think about how to say this. If we can think about a memory, if we think about a thought, and this is sort of wrapped into work I do with something I love, my own spin on sort of this therapeutic technique called internal family systems. If we have a thought of, oh my God, I'm so fat, I hate myself. Mm-hmm. That is something happening inside of your mind. If you can zoom out and talk to or acknowledge that that is just a thought, your core essence is the thing that's acknowledging that. Mm-hmm. Hi, thought. Hi, I am fat. Why are you here? Why are you presenting yourself today? Maybe it was something somebody said to you. Maybe it was a way you looked in the mirror and hated that you had a little roll on your stomach. But you are not the thought of, I hate myself, I am fat. You are the one that can zoom out and have a conversation with those different parts of your mind because of experience. Mm-hmm. The same thing that we can have, we can be the one looking at a feeling we are getting from an experience, recognizing that we are not that feeling. Mm-hmm. So I just got a raise. Oh my God. I feel so excited about that. That is just a rush of endorphins or energy that's happening, but not necessarily you at your core. Is this making sense?
You're doing great.
Okay. Yeah. So, it's you can almost think about it. I think it's a little bit easier because we're so used to wanting to cling on to happy. I think it's a little bit easier to think about it in the sad realm because when we feel heartbreak, it's very apparent. Mm-hmm. When we're feeling pain, when you feel like, oh, like crushed, like, ow, oh my God, that feeling inside of you, the feeling that's happening to your body, it can be really easy once we're out of that to think, whoa, that was a really painful moment. That was a really tough chapter of my life. But that chapter is behind you. That chapter is no longer happening to you. So there's no way that sad or happy is at your core essence if we can flow through them.
Right.
Does that make sense? It's who is the character? Who is the little light behind all of the things that's flowing in? What is that? Mm-hmm. Well, that's you. That's the person that's the thing that's experiencing all of the up and down. So it's not the happy or the sad. It's what's behind all of that.
Right. That was a really great explanation.
Thank you. I felt like I would lose my train of thought and then kind of go into it, but it's discovering in IFS, it's what they call the self, the capital S, which has qualities as well. Really compassionate, courageous, really creative, a calm mind. Mm-hmm. That capital S self is the one who's watching you go through life. So when we can zoom out and sort of talk to the feelings, talk to the thoughts, the ones that's doing that is the core essence.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of my coaching is helping people find that core essence. And that can be really tough to find for people with a lot of trauma, a lot of identity, a
Mhm.
lot of attachment to outcome, a lot of suffering. It can be hard to do that. And anyone can reconnect with that part, the actual self, if you're willing to take the time to do the work and get to understand the connection between mind and body and removing yourself from both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the way you described it. It's a difficult topic to chew on if it's somebody's first time. Um, and it really is the essence of freedom as well within ourselves. The way that I like to think about that, and just like a spacious mind or the self, is kind of the concept of when a home is built, if you were to say to somebody, what is the essence of the home? They can't point to, okay, it's the roof, it's the walls, it's the floor, it's the bedroom. The essence of a home is the space inside of the home. It's the feeling inside of the room. It's when you're in there and it smells a certain way. It's what the house contains, that space that you can't really see, you can't really put your finger on it, but you know it's there. That space is
Yes.
the self. It's like that, in that space, people come in and out, they're talking, that's where conversations are had, that's where you have a fight, that's where you make love, it's in the space there, and that's what makes the home. We can, if we think of the mind as space, and thoughts are happening, people are saying things, we're witnessing stuff with our eyes, we're hearing things with our ears, we're smelling things, but we're not the smell that we're smelling, we're not the hearing, we're not what we're hearing, we're not what we're seeing, we're observing, we're, oh, okay, wow, it's that observer that's seeing and hearing and experiencing, that's the self, in its purest form.
Yes. The observer.
It's the observer. And when we can become, the more often we can become the observer, or the more often we remember that the observer exists, and we can take a step back, like Camille said, and really look at ourselves, look at the thoughts. That is the essence of meditation. It's the essence of calm. It's the essence of purity. It's the essence of being, like the true essence of being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was such a good way to put it. And I love that analogy so much. Wrapping space in a room into a moment with space in the mind, the way you can think about it is I'm talking right now. And then when I pause, there's this space in between every single word. Who's that? Who is that that's talking to you? When you're sitting on your couch in silence and you have a lot of thoughts, but then in between there are little moments of pause. Well, where's that? All of a sudden, it's not like, oh, I'm just non existent now that I'm not having a thought or having saying a couple words. The space is actually the essence of you. The space is you. So in meditation, and that is the purpose of meditation, is finding the space and allowing the space to increase over and over and over and over until all of a sudden you can exist in that calm, empty space, moving about your day. That is being present. So that's why when people tell me, oh, I can't meditate, my mind is too crazy, I'm like, well, that is actually the entire point of meditation, is to understand that your mind is so crazy.
Right.
Understand that it's crazy, and how can you find the space and try to increase that space over time. It's not like a monk all of a sudden is just born and just the mind is just crazy. You train the mind.
Yep. Just like you
Yeah.
train your body, just like you train anything. It's like Yes, you train the mind.
Yeah.
And in the training of the mind, that's how we come into the presence that Camille and I talk about all the time. That's where we find it. We find it in the dedication. We find it in the practice. This isn't something that you can just be listening to our podcast right now and be like, okay, I'm just going to do that right now. It's like it takes a minute of dedication. And in my opinion, learning this is really the only thing that matters in this lifetime. Is like, because when you learn this skill and you dedicate yourself to this skill, it means that you show up more passionately to every season of your life. You show up more passionately in love. You show up more passionately in friendship, in work, in purpose. With your dogs, when you're on a walk, you can all of a sudden just be on the walk with your dog, picking up their poop, saying hi to your neighbor, whatever it is, you're there instead of being in a million different places in your head. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Keep going.
No,
Do you
go
have
ahead.
something else? Oh, I was just gonna say, and it it can be a little frustrating sometimes. And this that is part of the process too, is recognizing, for me, has been a big piece of this for me, is I was going through a lot of changes in the past year, like talk about wild amount of change.
Yeah.
And I would find moments where my meditation would seem so calm. And then other days, my mind would still be racing like crazy. And having compassion for myself and remembering all of your progress is not gone because you're having a hard day. Like you still get to dedicate yourself to being present. Shit, I had a couple bad days. I just, man, I am like really present today and noticing how distracted and stupid I felt the past week, like really pulling myself away from my body and um living in a space where I was having a million thoughts every day and coming back to that over and over and just reminding yourself, like, when you're going through a huge change is also where you can see that you need more practice. It
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when we get busy and things in our life are shifting and changing, we're like, well, I don't need my practices right now. That's the thing I'm going to put on the back burner. And it's like, no, that's what you need the most right now.
Right.
you know, that's where you get to see, man, my mind is really crazy right now and it was feeling calm. What's shifted? What's changed? How can I keep dedicating myself to make sure that I can find the stillness and space even in these hectic moments?
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something was just coming up for me. I love that so much. And also, I feel like it's important to talk about how on that path, on that journey of finding presence, the times that are really hard or the times that it feels like it would be impossible to become present are still perfect. It's
Yeah.
like still part of it. It's
It's still
still
part of it. Yeah.
part of what it means to be alive and a conscious being, is that when you're in the shit, noticing that you're in the shit, like just noticing is so crucial. It's so crucial.
Yeah.
Being like,
I mean,
whoa, here I am. I'm exhausted and I'm just going to be exhausted. And that's part of it. That being present with exhaustion is as important as being present when you're in meditation retreat for 10 days.
mm, yeah, because ultimately we're still experiencing life through the vessel. You're still experiencing it through the body. We're not, just because you decide to become present all of a sudden doesn't mean that all the human conditions and all the societal bullshit just goes away.
Right.
I mean, think about what just happened to me. Like, I dedicated myself and my energy to becoming more present and really like discovering what awakening was. And then I'm still going through a shit box of a divorce. Like fucking madness.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have had moments where I'm literally just laughing. Like,
Yes.
there is no way, there is no fucking way this is happening to me. And I'm like, no, it is. And this is just exactly how it's supposed to be. How present can I be for this? Like, how much shit can I withstand
Yeah. And just be
and
present.
still dedicate to being present? It's wild. It does not, it doesn't excuse you, or it doesn't remove you from the human experience.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of times that's what I originally thought when I heard about Buddhism or meditation or any of this kind of stuff, is I was like, okay, but then you're like not really experiencing life. Like if everything is to just let go of attachment, like I always thought it was just like to live a life without emotion. And that's
Me
not
too.
all what it is. It's feeling your emotions even more passionately because you're there for them. It's not being masked by what is that person going to think if I start crying right now. It's just crying right now if that feels good, you know.
Yes.
About it like this, the times that trigger me the most out of presence are during like bureaucratic moments, like if I'm at the DMV or I'm processing the sale of my house. And I don't mean processing in my body, but like going through the motions of closing on a home or buying a house.
Yeah.
It's those moments for me, registering my car when I have to take it into the shop first to get a smog check. And they didn't tell me that till I was at the DMV. Like when you're kind of getting the human runaround and it's just like, it's like, it feels like the only thing that's important in that moment is for you to accomplish that task.
Yes.
If you can just, for example, today when we were recording and the recording was going wrong and it's just like, oh, this is so annoying.
So
like
fucking stupid.
fucking stupid. Can you be present there? Because and can you laugh at yourself there? Like it's not that fucking important. Even if you don't get your car registered and all of a sudden, I don't know, you get a ticket for, you know, for some people it might be pretty important, but I just mean that it's not the most important thing. I want to finish this segment with something that really impacted me this week. And that is that our friend Julian is in town and he does a lot of drone photography.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all having a really good time at this lagoon here in Tulum. And, you know, you're just kind of existing. Like we're just existing. We were dancing on this little dock. We had a couple drinks. We were just having the best time. And he took a video of us from right where we are dancing and having fun. And then it zooms out and you're watching the video for like 5 seconds and you can't see yourself anymore. Like the drone is in the sky and now you're just part of the landscape. And it's one of those interesting feelings of like, wow, that was really artistic. And also, I'm so small. Like what I'm experiencing in my body feels like the most magnificent, like it feels so important. The ego's so inflated just saying like this couldn't be more important, like you need to do this to survive. And we zoom all the way out and I don't look like anything. I'm zero. The dock is barely anything that we're standing on. So it's in those moments when we can say like, okay, if I have this one life, this one little existence to try my best at, what do I want to be dedicating my time to? What do I want to be really like enamored by? Is it celebrity gossip or is it my own mind? Is it my stupid fucking boyfriend that is holding me way back? Or is it expanding my heart through love and facing, why do I want to be with this person although they're not treating me well? You know, it's like, what do I want to be spending my time with? And
yes,
I just feel like that's an important thing to think about is when we zoom all the way out, where can you take your life a little bit less seriously and where can you ramp it up? Because you have this one tiny thing and it's so precious.
I am so glad you brought that up. I love thinking about life that way. And the first time I think that happened to me, I was on an airplane and I was of conscious age. I think I was dating my college boyfriend at the time. And I, like, 20 years old, maybe, like, flew up in the air. And I was watching the little guys who were doing the plane, like showing it which way it goes. And then all of a sudden, in like 5 seconds, they were just gone. And I was like, oh my God, I am so small.
Yeah.
And I just had this kind of like jaw-dropping experience of like, oh, the drama that I care about right now is so insignificant, but it feels like my entire world.
Totally.
And the beauty of it is you can do this at any point. You don't need to be in a plane. You don't need to see drone footage. You can literally just imagine a zoomed out version of your life as if you're watching it on a movie screen.
Yes.
And really think, like, is this important? Am I doing the most? Am I enjoying my time here? Like, in the scale of a movie, put your life in a movie. Where are you? Are you a quarter way through? Are you halfway through? Are you happy with how your movie's going? Or are you ready to make some pretty big freaking changes? Like, take leaps, do the most. Like, you can do whatever you want in this life.
Yeah.
And it's short and it's tiny.
It's so small.
It is so tiny. Do you know how tiny it is?
Imagine one single hair on your head. It's that tiny.
It's so small.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
tiny. Okay, so we said that we want to talk about processing emotion through masturbation today too. And that it's really interesting because when we talk about presence and we talk about the body, one of the most incredible ways to be in touch with ourselves is through pleasure. Really, it's what I'm so fascinated by. And I think it's so beautiful. And it's been one of the major ways that I've been able to understand the intensity of my own emotions and that kind of like wild nature of being a woman is through masturbation ritual and orgasm and processing emotions through orgasm. And so I wanted to talk about it today. That in French, when you at the peak of orgasm, it's called les petites morts, which means a mini death.
A tiny death.
Tiny death. Yes, because when you're having an orgasm, if everybody can just think about it for a second, when you have an orgasm, if you've had an orgasm before, why is that a moment that feels so good for us? And obviously there are a lot of physiological things going on, like our body is releasing different chemicals and different hormones, and we're feeling connected to our partner perhaps. But at the actual moment of orgasm, you are in stillness and presence, and that's the only thing you're experiencing. Typically, when you're having an orgasm, you're really there for it.
Yeah.
Really with it. Maybe you were working up to it and you weren't as present, but when you're actually experiencing the orgasm, it's for a second a moment of very intense presence with your body. And when we imagine it like that, it makes sense that at that time or in the process of orgasm, there's really incredible opportunity to be so with your body, so present, and to allow whatever needs to come through to come through. So when we talked, we had, maybe it was like in episode 28. Remember when I shared with the wolf pack about an orgasm that I had that day?
Yes.
Where it was kind of a really beautiful moment of awakening. Very brief, but beautiful. And I wanted to elaborate a little bit about that today and how you can start exploring with your body. start exploring with their bodies, because there is nothing more important, in my opinion.
Oh, I love it. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Drop some knowledge on us.
Okay, so when you are going to masturbate, I highly recommend that you make this more of a ritualistic experience. So turning off porn, if that's something that you watch, and this can take some time to work up to it. I'm not saying that you're all of a sudden just going to be processing emotion the second that you masturbate like this for the first time, but it's important for you to gain a relationship and to really water a relationship with your body. And what I mean by that is imagining your body like a garden, imagining your pussy like a garden, and you have to water, you plant the seeds, you water that garden before it can be such a beautiful experience that's regenerative and giving back fruits and vegetables. It's, you know, the fruits of your labor. And so this is the same thing, as the fruits of your labor are going to be obvious in how you're able to process things. And so turning off porn is really important for this experience to come through. Allowing, like, opening space for yourself to have a nice experience by setting your environment up properly. And that can be whatever feels good for you. But for me, it's always typically either dim light or sunlight. It can be sunlight on my actual pussy. If you watched my Netflix Bling Empire thing, I love pussy to the sun, perineum sunning, pussy sunning. Feels so good. So if you have the opportunity to do this outside, even better. And just gaining a relationship with your body over time. So holding yourself, really starting to just notice when you're masturbating and when you're going into this more like sacred sexuality space, starting to just notice the intricacies of what's happening with your body. How do your sheets feel on you? How does it feel if you're naked versus wearing lingerie? But noticing little things. Do you prefer to have oils, incense? Do certain incense not make you feel sexy? Just noticing what's happening with your body and allowing for things to start coming through. So I recommend that this is with it could actually be with any toy or with your hands, but preferably with a toy that isn't so powerful that you're just immediately going to orgasm. You know, like, oftentimes if I use a wand or something, geez, it might take,
it's like,
I just like touch it and I'm like starfishing because it's so intense. So that's just my body though. But if you can use a wand and it can take you like 10, 15, 20 minutes to work up to orgasm, good for good for you. That's just not the case for me. So having some time between when you begin masturbating and orgasm seems to be important during this kind of an experience, because you want to be in touch with the essence of your body. So common emotions that come up in this kind of a thing can be frustration that you can process. If you're feeling frustrated, like you're not orgasming fast enough, or you're not I want to make a distinction here that it doesn't have to be that you're processing something about the masturbation. It's like you can feel frustrated that you're not orgasming fast enough, and that's a separate thing. But you can just notice while your body is in a heightened state of arousal and pleasure, where you're tight, where you're frustrated. So you might have something that's been on your heart that you can explore while you're feeling pleasure. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about feeling frustrated about orgasm. I'm talking about processing anger that you might have that's stuck in your body, processing joy. Like, I've had full-blown laugh attacks before, like actually hysterically laughing about how funny life is, how funny it is that here I am, this little person rubbing my clitoris and working my to orgasm. Like, it's hysterical. It's like funny and sensual and whatever, but also moments of incredible bliss, incredible rage, like where I've just felt so frustrated, like so like, I life is just frustrating me right now, but being able to process that while I'm orgasming.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. This is all so fabulous. I wanted to put in a couple things.
Yes.
Okay. Number one is yes, this happens to me. I can really tell what is on my mind and what is plaguing me when I am masturbating. And sometimes I will literally pause. Like I have this one toy that I really like to use. I'm trying to break away from it, but just when it feels right, whatever. I will sometimes pause the entire experience and kind of just lay in my bed and like talk to my thoughts for a minute and be like, wow, okay, you're having a lot of thought around this. Is it okay if I come back and focus on pleasure and come back to you later? And like literally tell my mind that I'm ready to experience pleasure and I will come back and have a conversation with you.
Yes.
Also, I don't want people to think that it's not okay to masturbate with toys. And I'm glad that you mentioned like toy or not toy. It's great to have a hand connection. And I've felt the difference in having skin on skin pleasure. Something I recommend, you kind of said that with the toy kind of one that takes a little bit longer. Yes. And incorporating your other hand to be really feeling and connecting to your body.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that I started incorporating a little while ago. Mostly through my healing journey, was really like reconnecting to my body and seeing what felt good with my other hand.
Mm-hmm.
So the one hand is there focused on pleasure, but where does it feel good when I'm placing other pressure or like pinching or grabbing or just making sure to connect with that other hand? My other thing was I have actually just been more conscious of exploring pleasure even outside of the masturbation. Like you were saying, with having, what do your clothes feel like, your sheets? Like sometimes I will just be sitting on the couch and be like, are these underwear feeling good? Like
Yeah.
touch, really like, and then kind of touching it over my clothes, like touching my pussy and being like, oh, I'm actually feeling a little bit of pleasure. Removing the need for orgasm, or separating pleasure from only needing to have an orgasm,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it has actually made my orgasm so much stronger because I feel like I am recognizing the pleasure of life more as I go throughout my day.
Right.
So that's a good way to start. I think a lot of time there's like a lot of pressure on the actual orgasm. And I know you've mentioned this before, but like, where can you find pleasure without even being at the peak of your pleasure?
Right.
Yeah.
And just seeing even what your reaction right now is to pleasure. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times when we say the word pleasure, it's like, do you feel worthy of pleasure? Do you feel like you have enough time for pleasure?
Mm,
What is your reaction to pleasure? Because you can process that with pleasure. So
yeah.
it's like just opening your relationship up to what is what does feeling good trigger in me? What does feeling good trigger
Yeah.
in me? Because so many
Yeah.
people have such big blocks with that. And there really is no more beautiful or human way to become in touch with presence than through sex. Like
Mm,
it's no mistake that almost every, I mean, I would probably say every contemplative tradition focused on awakening in the self has elements of sexual discovery.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
part of it.
It does. And I think that this is, like you said, processing, some hurt around pleasure. I think that more than likely, specifically, a lot of women have a lot of shame around pleasure.
Yeah.
So, really diving into that too, not only from a societal perspective, but a lot of relationship trauma, um, thinking of even about like learning about sex, we were never taught about how good it's supposed to feel or that we have the most nerve endings of literally any living organism in our pussy. Like we're never taught that.
Right.
So I think really diving into that too is really important because we are typically either told we're either rejected. I think a lot of us have been rejected and felt ashamed for that. Or when we are really open about our sexuality, oh, all of a sudden you're a whore. You don't, why are you why are you wanting that? When in reality, it can just feel so good.
Right.
So kind of just coming back to recognizing what the actual meaning of pleasure is instead of having an identity to go along with it.
Right. Yeah, and the practice of processing emotion through orgasm is not a novice practice. If you don't have a masturbation practice at all right now, start there and then just see if by me planting this seed, that's something that interests you. Because I just want you to know that it's available. It's available to have really primal experiences with your body. And those things can look very atypical. Like processing rage through orgasm does not look like anything that you've seen in porn. I can guarantee that. It's very psychedelic.
Yes. And if you are in the phase, we can be in different, phases of life. But if you're thinking, I hate my body and I don't even masturbate, start there.
Yeah.
Start with building your confidence. Start with looking at yourself in the mirror. Start with doing a dance for yourself. It doesn't have to be immediately centered on if you can reach orgasm through your pussy. Like, can you find pleasure in just being alive? Can you find pleasure in maybe finding a new cute outfit? Like, how can you incorporate pleasure and enjoyment into your day in through the body and then work up to more advanced things like processing rage through orgasm?
It's so funny because this is totally, it's like such a me thing. Not just me. Like there are a lot of, tantrikas and sexual practitioners that know this and have practiced this, but between Camille and me processing rage through orgasm is something that is just funny between us because
I would think would be hilarious because it's like, I know it's just the difference in both of us. I'm like, yeah, I feel, I mean, I have my own stuff that I'm obviously going through and processing too, but specifically rage would be Lauren.
It's so weird why I have so much rage. I wonder if I always will, or if it's just one of my seasons in life.
Yeah. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
I think this has been one of my favorite episodes.
Wow.
I'm going to say it. I don't know. I just felt really present through the whole episode and like really enjoying what we were talking about.
I do too. And I actually want to say something to our pack. If you love our podcast, please review it for us. Leave us 5 stars, send it to your friends. Camille and I come on here every week just to talk to you. And if you're really enjoying it, show us some love because we love to hear about how you're responding to it. It's not just a validation thing, but it just feels good like we're having a conversation to hear how you're ingesting this information. So
yes,
please let us know. Please come join us on Patreon. Let's create this Wolfpack momentum and keep this going strong because I hope to do this for years and years and years to come. I mean, we're just at the beginning, baby.
Me too. And with that, we love you all. We will see you next week for another exciting episode of The Sexton.
Yay! Thank you. Ow, ow, ow!
This week's episode was sponsored by the one and only Amber Bath Bathing Essentials. These are products that Lauren and I have used throughout our entire lives. We have sold these products our whole lives. These are our mother's all organic, all natural, family run, women owned products. So if you are interested in getting the best minimal ingredients, scrubs, soaps, salves, and body butters, go to amberbath.com and use code WOLFPACK at checkout for 20% off and a free little gift from your den mothers. We love you.